The story begins with Woody Conrad, who is a member of the Conrad family. They are destined to inherit the talent of great figures. Woody was told by his father that he must inherit the Archmage title just like him and prove Woody's might. On the day Woody's talent was being bestowed, Woody was very eager to have the same talent as his father and walk the same path. To Woody's surprise, the talent he received was tree planting, a production-type skill. Other people started talking about Woody, the legitimate heir who could not become a warrior nor a hero. With Woody's talent being a non-combative type, the people believed that Woody's engagement with Lady Tristan was now null and void. Woody's brother named Acid bumped into Woody, calling him a failure of an heir. When Acid received his talent, it was announced that he had received the same talent as his father, the Archmage. Woody looked very confused as he thought that he would be the one to inherit his father's power. Woody's father ignored him, going straight to Acid and announcing how Acid was truly worthy of inheriting the Conrad name. On the day the boys received their talent, it was announced that the new heir to the Conrad family was now Acid. Woody was then bullied by the new heir of the Conrad family, who ripped up the flower that his mother had planted and called Woody a mama's boy. Woody tried to defend himself, but the women around Acid did not care, calling Woody's mother trash beneath a concubine. Being swayed by the women's words, Acid placed his finger on Woody's forehead, planning on hurting Woody with magic. Fortunately for Woody, Era came just in time to save him. Worried for Era, Woody told her that if she were to take his side, Era would be in even more danger. Acid was annoyed after being defied and planned to put Era in her place using his power as an Archmage. Woody stepped in between them, proposing to leave and never be seen again, with the condition that Acid would not hurt Era. Acid agreed and kicked Woody out in the middle of nowhere. While walking in the desert, Woody apologized to Era for getting her caught up in his problem. Era did not mind as she made it clear that she had gotten involved of her own free will. Although there were no hard feelings between Era and Woody, their new problem was how to survive in the middle of a desert. Woody felt hopeless, as he was sure that his talent would not save them in time. Era calmed and encouraged Woody, revealing that her aptitude was water mage. Even in a place with zero humidity like the desert, Era could pour out as much water as she wanted. Era believed that she had been granted such power for the exact moment they were now in. Touched by Era's words, Woody was about to thank Era when he accidentally consumed sand. Resting behind a boulder, Era told Woody that she had not expected the vast desert to be part of the Conrad family's territory. Since the desert was completely useless, both the kingdom and Woody's father abandoned ruling over it. After proposing to leave the Conrad house, Woody was then appointed as the ruler of the desert, thanks to Acid's advice. Woody was tasked with restoring the land by greening the desert. Noticing Woody going quiet, Era became worried and asked him if the heat had gotten to his head. When Woody responded that she might be right, Era then suggested that they take a bath together to cool off. The suggestion left Woody confused, making him think that they should consider Era's magic power. However, Era herself also could not see the point in them taking a bath under the scorching sun. Seeing skeletal remains in some parts of the desert, Era assumed that there may have been locals living in the desert before. The problem the two were now facing was how to survive and carry out tree planting in such difficult conditions. After commenting that they needed more shade than the big rock they were resting at, Woody then pulled out his storage bag, telling Era that they had a tent, a table, and sleeping bags for them to use. When Era noticed a map, Woody explained that the map was already old and that he was not sure if they could even use it. Before Woody left, his father had given him the old map, making Woody wonder what his father was thinking. Receiving the map, Woody also wondered if his father still had a sliver of familial affection for him, and the thought that it might be true comforted Woody. Looking at the map only made the two feel hopeless, as it was all endless desert in every direction. Seeing an old settlement, Woody decided to go to that location, hoping that he could get some help and hopefully find a small oasis along the way. Era thought of an idea and told Woody that an oasis would solve their problem. Woody became excited thinking that Era had found an oasis on the map. However, that was not the case. Instead, Era suggested that they make an oasis themselves. Era proposed that they use Woody's talent to increase the greenery, creating an oasis in the desert with their own hands. Seeing Woody's expression, Era asked if her suggestion was not okay. Woody explained that the ground was completely dried up sand, and that even if roots were to take hold, there would be no nutrients for the plants to absorb, making it difficult for trees to grow. Even after being exiled and ending up in the desert, Woody felt that he was still useless, slowly beginning to believe that Acid was right about him. Although the facts stated that it was impossible, Era encouraged Woody to still give it a try. Era asked if she were to use her water magic. Could the trees continue to thrive? Hearing Era's words and feeling her warmth in his hand, Woody realized that Era was correct. However, Woody was also afraid that Era would be disappointed if he were to fail. Woody realizes that Era would never be disappointed in him, as she was the only person who did not abandon him, following him even into the middle of the desert. Woody believes that doubting Era is wrong, and that even if he were to fail and embarrass himself, he had no plans to give up and would not let Era die in the desert. With his new goal set, Woody then used his talent. It was only the second tree that Woody had ever planted with his power, but for Woody, it was his first step toward a new life. Woody was shocked, as he did not expect the tree to be so tiny. A notification screen appeared in front of Woody, informing him that he had gained a level, unlocking the tree planting status. While Woody was occupied with the notification, Era, on the other hand, was very much impressed after seeing Woody's ability. Reading more about his ability, Woody learned that if he kept leveling up, he would be able to unlock more skills. Woody received a recommendation to plant as many trees as possible and continue leveling up in the process. Woody was in shock as he could hear a voice in his head. Seeing Era's reaction, Woody assessed that Era could not hear the voice. Woody became nervous, as he had never heard of a talent talking back before. Learning that he would be able to unlock more skills, Woody, who had always thought that both talent and skills were the same thing, then thought that skills might be a power separate from talent that could enhance his tree planting ability. Hearing how a talent could be quite mysterious, Woody thought that he might be able to understand more about talent and skills as he kept leveling up. Woody wondered how he could first gain a level. He was then informed that leveling up is achieved once a certain number of trees are planted, and that in order to plant trees, smile points are required. It was then clarified to Woody that he didn't have to make someone laugh to gain a smile point, as making someone happy, excited, or even embarrassed was enough for him to earn a point. Seeing how easy the process was, Woody began to doubt how simple it was for him to level up. Woody was told not to overthink the process and was instead advised to hold Era's hand in front of him. Following his talent's instructions, Woody held Era's hand, stared into her eyes, and commented on how he liked how full of life she was, just like a tree. With Era's emotions all mixed up, Woody ended up gaining 7 smile points. Seeing Era turning red, Woody became worried. After seeing his smile points increase, Woody was informed that the number of points was proportional to the strength of one's feelings, explaining that Era's reaction showed how happy she truly was. With the points he received, Woody realized that Era was truly happy, beyond just their master-servant relationship. Even if Woody couldn't bring any positive change to his father and Acid, he was still happy to know that he could make someone smile. Woody thought that creating an oasis might be reckless, but he had now completely changed his mind. Wanting to use his tree planting ability to create a place filled with smiles and greenery, Woody wished to turn the desert into a land where everyone could live happily, without war or hunger. With Woody's words, he was able to gain 4 smile points. At the same time, at the Tristan estate, a woman was yelling at a bird, warning it not to scratch the tree, as it was a gift she had received from someone dear to her. Hearing how the tree was a gift from someone important to the woman, the bird's eye glowed as it wondered if Woody was the creator of the bird's world tree. Reminded of Woody's face, the woman felt sorrow and anger punching the tree. The punch was so loud that the bird thought it had stepped on a massive landmine. The woman collapsed as she remembered how Woody had promised to marry her. After witnessing the woman's actions, the bird jokingly told her that she was doing more damage than him. However, the woman was not the slightest bit amused, accusing the bird of disturbing her heart, the heart of the Sword Saint. The situation escalated quickly, with the Sword Saint now drawing her sword and planning to exterminate the bird. The bird ordered the Sword Saint Maiden to sheath her sword, revealing that it was neither just a monster nor merely a bird, but a divine bird known as Simurgh. A divine bird was a creature that even a hero with legendary talent could not slay. The Sword Saint could not believe that Simurgh was still alive, as she was certain that she had cut the bird down. Seeing the bird still breathing after enduring her Sword Saint strike, she realized that Simurgh might not be an ordinary creature. Remembering how Simurgh had referred to Woody's gift as the World Tree, the Sword Saint thought that both the Divine Bird and the World Tree were merely myths and legends. Although the Sword Saint still found it difficult to believe that she was facing a divine bird, hearing the bird speak human language and display high intelligence made it impossible for her to ignore the facts that pointed to the creature being a divine bird. Simurgh thought it was natural for her to be surprised after encountering a creature like him, revealing that it was rare for beings like them to show themselves to humans. Simurgh planned to leave the place soon, but before departing, he asked the Sword Saint for the name of the person who had created and gifted the tree to her. The Sword Saint laughed, as she did not expect a divine bird to recognize the quality and value of the tree. After hearing a divine bird call Woody a remarkable person, the Sword Saint decided to trust Simurgh's words. The divine bird, Simurgh, then learned that it was Woody Conrad who had gifted the tree to her. Woody was her fiancé, a person whose eyes held a gentle light just like the World Tree. Simurgh was grateful to the Sword Saint for providing such information. Seeing Simurgh preparing to leave, the Sword Saint asked if it planned to go after Woody. Seamerg revealed that, as a divine beast, it was bound by duty to serve under Woody. The Sword Saint then asked Seamerg if he knew Woody's current location, but was shocked when he responded that he did not. When Seamerg asked the Sword Saint about Woody's whereabouts, she could not provide an answer, as she only knew that Woody was no longer at the Conrad estate. Even the head of the Tristan household was unaware of Woody's location, having chosen to ignore and dismiss any matters related to him, making it seem as though Woody had never existed in the first place. Meeting Woody for the first time, the Sword Saint thought that there was just too much difference between her and Woody, believing that Woody was only after her talent. However, after being pushed around, instead of getting mad, Woody became even more impressed after experiencing his fiancée's strength, even without her having used her talent yet. Woody grinned, thinking about how cool his fiancée was, admiring her for what he lacked. From her very first conversation with Woody, the Sword Saint could tell that Woody's words were free of doubt, not directed at the Sword Saint but at her, as a single human being. After getting to know Woody more, the Sword Saint could no longer bear to pretend that Woody never existed. Seamerg sensed a shift in energy from afar, a sign of a new world tree being created. Seamerg then asked the Sword Saint if she wanted to fly with him to where Woody was. The Sword Saint extended her hand, asking to be brought to Woody as she wanted to tell him something. Floating up into the air, the Sword Saint thanked Seamerg and introduced herself by name as Nadia. Now, further up in the sky, Nadia believed that she no longer needed a family name, abandoning it completely and choosing to live simply as Nadia. Meanwhile, in the desert, Era and Woody remained calm as they protected themselves from a sandstorm that had been raging since morning. Although they had not seen the sky properly all day, the two did not lose hope, as they were sure that the tree Woody had created would change everything for them. Era was very impressed with the barrier that Woody had created, as it protected them against sandstorms and even bugs. Era's mind started to warp, thinking that the tree could turn into a fortune if they sold it, giving them enough money for laundry and food. Although Woody was unsure if Era's thoughts were good, it still crossed his mind that his talent might be able to make him rich. Seeing how the sun had set, Era suggested that they now take rest for the night. When Woody created another tree, the barrier expanded even more, further impressing Era. On their third day in the desert, Woody was very pleased with what they had achieved, creating over 12 trees. On their first day, Woody had been in despair, but thanks to the tree's barriers and a new skill he had acquired after leveling up, Woody had managed to survive for 3 days already. With Woody's new level 3 skill, he could change the shape of the trees, making them easier to carry and replant in a different location. Since tree planting required rare points earned through making people smile, being able to reuse them instead of wasting them was a huge advantage for Woody. As the night settled, Woody and Era noticed a couple of silhouettes from afar, wondering what they were. When those creatures finally revealed themselves, Woody became frightened, as desert monsters had come to their location. Woody was worried for their safety, since there were multiple desert monsters, and they themselves did not have the power to fight them. However, to Woody's surprise, Era suggested that they chase the monsters down. Woody immediately rejected Era's suggestion, thinking that provoking the desert monsters would make them more aggressive and might even hurt them. Woody thought that the tree's barrier might have a monster-repelling effect, emitting a wavelength that the desert monsters disliked. Since the monsters would not dare to go after them, Woody breathed a sigh of relief and suggested to Era that they take a break. As the temperature in the desert drops at night, Era prepared some water at just the right warmth for Woody to drink. Drinking the lukewarm water tea, Woody felt like he was reliving his old life. Hearing Woody's praise, Era felt very happy, earning Woody 6 more smile points. Although it was not Woody's intention to get more smile points from Era, he was still grateful to her, as she was the sole reason he could continue planting more trees. Looking at his status, Woody saw that he needed to plant 3 more trees to level up. Each tree cost 4 points, and planting 3 more trees would total 12 points. Woody's current problem was that he did not have enough smile points to plant 3 more trees. Seeing Woody frustrated, his talent suggested a method to earn more smiles. However, Woody did not proceed. Woody wanted to level up to make Era smile, not to make Era smile just for the sake of leveling up and gaining points. Woody accepted that his method might not be the best or fastest way to gain smile points, but he believed that a natural smile was more valuable than simply collecting as many smiles as possible. While checking through his past earnings, Woody realized that the average points he received from Era were around 6. However, his attention was drawn to the 4 points he had received earlier, which was very unusual for him. Woody remembered that the 4 points he had gained were from the time he wished to make the world a better and greener place. When Woody asked Era what she thought about his development plan, he was surprised to see Era lying on the sand, not moving. Era apologized to Woody for fainting from sheer happiness. Woody then remembered that when he had gained the 4 points before, Ira had also passed out. As Woody slowly uncovered the secrets behind the 4 points, a figure appeared above them, revealing itself to be Nadia. Falling from the sky, Nadia told Woody never to underestimate how stubborn she could be. Back at the Conrad estate, Acid learns of Nadia's disappearance. Receiving a letter from House Tristan, Acid read Nadia's message in which she declared her decision to relinquish her family so that she would not be forced to marry someone she did not love. However, rather than being angered, Acid was pleased by Nadia's actions and ordered his men to find her. Acid intended to break Nadia's pride into pieces, wanting her to understand her place. Before Woody was exiled, he met with Nadia, breaking the news that he was no longer her fiancé. As a farewell gift, Woody planted a tree at Nadia's home, making the tree a symbol that he would always pray for her. Nadia did not want to accept that and decided to look for Woody, abandoning everything she had. Woody was surprised when he saw Nadia falling from the sky. When Nadia landed in Woody's arms, she could no longer hold back her emotions, telling Woody that she had missed him. Nadia had never thought that she would see Woody again and even wondered if she might be dreaming. Meanwhile, Era, who was watching the two, held back her anger, as she had not expected Woody's former fiancé to appear. Ira apologized for interrupting the reunion and asked Nadia why she was in the middle of the desert when Woody was no longer her fiancé. Ira reminded Nadia that Woody had already visited her and bid her farewell. Nadia returned the question to Ira, asking why she was still with Woody when she had been employed as the personal maid to the heir of the Conrad family. Era proudly announced that she was no longer a maid of the Conrad house, having resigned immediately after Woody was exiled. Era had no interest in serving a house that did not understand Woody. Hearing about Era's resignation for the first time, Woody was shocked, as he had not expected that Era would hand in her resignation. Woody apologized to Era, as he had assumed all this time that she was still being paid. Woody was unsure how to pay Era, as he himself had no money. Era laughed, telling Woody that his concern was enough for her. She explained that while her decision may have sounded impulsive, she had made it with full awareness of the consequences. Woody still couldn't get his concern out of his head, even though Era reassured him that it was fine. To relieve Woody of his unnecessary worries, Era suggested that he could pay her in different ways. Seeing Era's reaction, Woody thought that he might have taken on a very dangerous debt. Observing the two, Nadia realized that Era was also like her, someone who had abandoned everything for the sake of Woody. Both Woody and Era were shocked to hear that Nadia had given up everything and asked her why she would even do such a thing. Nadia approached Woody, touching his lips and telling him that losing everything had made her realize what truly mattered. Nadia announced that moving forward she would always be Woody's fiancé. Woody's heart could not take the news, causing his whole body to heat up. Seamerg then approached Woody, calling him a ladies' man. Seeing a giant talking bird for the first time, both Woody and Era were speechless. Era then noticed that Seamerg had entered the barrier, making her believe that the bird was a high-ranking monster. Seamerg explained that he was not a monster, revealing his true identity as a divine bird. Hearing the words divine bird, Woody remembered that it was a mythical beast from their country's legends. Woody then thought that meeting a divine bird was already a massive discovery. However, he still had some doubts as there was a possibility that the bird was a scam. Nadia vouched for Seamerg, revealing that it was the divine bird that had brought her to him. However, both Era and Woody found Nadia's reasoning far too weak. When Era wanted to voice the possibility that Nadia may have been fooled, Nadia cut her off, asking if Era truly believed she would bring a monster to Woody's side. The tension started to rise again. After calming the two down, Woody explained to Seamerg that they were still trying to wrap their heads around the situation, and asked the divine bird why he had come to them. Seamerg praised Woody for asking a good question, informing him that his only reason was to meet the one who had created the world tree, Woody. Looking at the tree he had created, Woody wondered if Seamerg was really referring to his small tree as the world tree. All of a sudden, the tree emitted a bright light. Seamerg could not believe what he saw as Woody's tree suddenly bore the legendary fruit of the world tree. When Nadia asked Seamerg what was so miraculous about the fruit of the world tree, she pointed out that she had never seen such a fruit before, shining like gold. Seamerg was in total disbelief that Nadia had never heard of the fruit of the world tree and asked Woody if it was the same for him. Woody responded that he also had never heard of the miraculous fruit of the world tree before, asking Seamerg if it was really something to be that shocked about. Seamerg felt depressed as neither of the two could recognize the true value of the fruit. Woody apologized and mentioned that while he had heard of the world tree before, he still could not wrap his head around the fact that the tree he had created had borne the miraculous fruit. Seamerg then informed the three that understanding the correct knowledge was crucial, offering to explain the situation to them. The fruit of the world tree was the ultimate fruit, worth more than gold itself. Its taste surpassed all gourmet foods in the world, and it contained unparalleled nutritional value. A single bite of the fruit could cure illnesses and grant eternal youth and beauty. The miraculous fruit was traded at a value even greater than gold in the human world. The women were shocked to learn that such a fruit was not only more valuable than gold, but could also grant eternal beauty, something that many wealthy people desperately sought after. Simurgh shared that even among divine beasts, the fruit was highly coveted, and he revealed the possibility that others might come for Woody and the World Tree seeking the miraculous fruit. Thinking of meeting more divine beasts, Woody could not help but smile, excited at the thought of encountering the legendary creatures he had only ever read about in books. Worried, Era reminded Woody that they had already eaten several of the fruits. Nadia was shocked, as the two had just eaten a suspicious fruit without a second thought. Nadia was so worried about Woody's health that she ended up fainting. Nadia revealed that she had been searching from above the sandstorm the entire time, looking for Woody. Nadia thought that if Woody were in a very dangerous place like the desert, she had to find him as soon as possible. Nadia had completely forgotten to eat or drink for 2 whole days. Touched by Nadia's concern, Woody picked the miraculous fruit and gave it to Nadia, reassuring her as well that the fruit was not poisonous. Nadia was surprised that Woody would just simply give away a fruit that was worth more than gold. However, such things did not matter to Woody, as he cared more for Nadia's well-being. Accepting the fruit, Nadia thought that choosing Woody was something that she would never be wrong about. Woody gained 3 smile points after Nadia ate the fruit. Nadia could not believe that such texture and delicious taste could come from a fruit, calling it the ultimate flavor. Nadia felt satisfied, comparing it to the feeling of floating in heaven. Ira guessed that what Nadia tasted and felt were the universal nutrients that Simurgh had mentioned. Upon learning more about the fruit, Ira realized that the reason why they still felt so energetic and healthy might be because of the fruit. The entire time, Woody had thought that they felt healthy because of the barrier. Nadia then noticed the barrier that Woody had mentioned, realizing that the space inside the barrier was not being affected by the sandstorm. When Woody mentioned that being near the tree provided protection for them, Simurgh then informed everyone that the power of the World Tree was far greater than just a barrier. The World Tree formed a sanctuary around itself, bringing fertility and purification to the land within its domain. Woody learned that not only did the World Tree bring fertility and purification, allowing for any crops to grow within its domain, but its divine power also drove monsters away. It then dawned on Woody that the World Tree was the reason why the desert monsters never attacked them. Woody had never imagined that inside the barrier was actually a small sanctuary. Simurgh then told Woody that, from his perspective, Woody was far more extraordinary than the World Tree he had created. Nadia thought that Woody's tree-planting ability might actually surpass that of the Sword Saint and Grand Mage. Simurgh grabbed a hold of Woody's hand, hoping to make a deal with him about the World Tree. Simurgh informed Woody that the sanctuary was still pathetically weak, as the true effects of the World Tree were barely manifesting. Simurgh offered to grant his blessing to the World Tree, allowing for the sanctuary to immediately reach its full potential. Woody was swayed by Simurgh's words, but when Simurgh mentioned that he would only bestow his blessing and protect the tree if he received 1 miraculous fruit per day as compensation, Woody was shocked. Seeing Woody's reaction, Simurgh thought that he might have demanded too much, knowing that the fruit grew rarely. To Simurgh's surprise, Woody accepted the deal, revealing to Simurgh that there were plenty of world trees to bear the miraculous fruit. The news shocked Simurgh, as he had not known there was more than 1 world tree. Offering a miraculous fruit to Simurgh, Woody revealed that he had plenty of fruit stashed in his storage bag. Accepting Woody's offer, Simurgh was in total shock, as he thought that Woody was completely outside the norm. Simurgh, a divine bird who had seen the vastness of the world, was still in shock after seeing so many world trees. While Simurgh continued to look for the desert village, Woody, on the other hand, kept on planting trees and ended up reaching level 4. Woody became excited upon learning that he could now plant a different type of tree. Woody was eager to share with everyone that they could now harvest more fruit per day. Nadia was then reminded of how incredible the miraculous fruit was after seeing Simurgh's triumphant reaction with just 1 bite. Since Simurgh was the one who found the desert village, Nadia felt nervous as she hoped that the village was still intact. Woody still thought that having a divine bird scout from the sky was a huge advantage, thanking Nadia for bringing Simurgh along. Nadia then looked at Era and grinned, making Era angry. Era then pointed out that she also helped out with her water magic, keeping Woody hydrated every day. Woody appreciated what the two had done for him and thanked them. Just hearing Woody thank them made Woody earn 6 more smile points. Now that they were a party of 3 and a bird, it would lead to more conversations, producing more smiles and more trees. Woody almost forgot that he had unlocked a different type of tree and was reminded of it when he received a notification asking if he now wanted to plant the new tree. Woody was shocked when the list of trees he could plant was shown to him. Not expecting the list to be so extensive, Woody also learned that he wasn't just limited to planting world trees. After seeing the list, Woody thought of different types of fruit, making him believe that the world tree might technically be a fruit tree as well. While waiting for Simurgh's return, Woody decided to test his new skill and plant a new tree. When Woody selected the apple tree, both Nadia and Era found it cute when they saw a different type of plant. Woody explained that it was an apple tree, and though it was still a small sapling, once it grew, the three of them could enjoy the taste of apples. Seeing both Nadia and Era's reactions, Woody thought that they were still totally captivated by the world tree fruit. Woody revealed that they could plant different types of trees, even possibly creating a fruit orchard. The two thought that Woody's plan sounded amazing, and suggested that they immediately start one after establishing a bigger sanctuary. Nadia pointed out that the idea itself might be great, but planting and growing trees in the desert might seem impossible aside from the world tree, which was a special case. Woody thought that Nadia was correct, since trees need nutrients in the soil and water to grow, which is why most trees are found in fertile land. Woody then picked up the sapling, reassuring it that he would find a place for the small tree to grow. Woody then heard his name being called by Simurgh, asking Woody to follow him immediately. When Nadia asked Simurgh to explain what was going on, Simurgh responded that they would understand if they followed him. Seeing Ira's exhausted face, Simurgh shared that divine beasts like him have many rules, and that one of them is that they are forbidden from interfering too much in the affairs of the mortal world. The most that divine beasts could do is offer advice or guide Woody. The three realized that Simurgh had to remain a bystander, being restricted by the laws of the divine beast realm. Simurgh then directed their attention to the location where there were people lying on the sand. Thinking that those were dead bodies, Woody was shocked. Fortunately, both Nadia and Ira checked and confirmed that the two were still alive and had passed out due to hunger. Seeing someone suffering in front of him, Woody did not hesitate to offer the miraculous fruit to them. The two were excited to finally get a hold of food, but were worried since they did not have anything as payment. Woody told them that it was fine, reassuring them that they would be amazed once they tasted the fruit. As the two shared the fruit and took a bite from it, they immediately felt rejuvenated, making them feel like they had just had a feast. Seeing the effects of the miraculous fruit, Era and Woody were still amazed by it, even though they themselves had already experienced it. Woody smiled as he thought that even though his tree planting talent was a non-combative talent, he still had the capability to save people. The two thanked Woody, as they now felt more energized than they had before leaving their village. When the two mentioned a village, Woody asked if they were from a village nearby. The two suddenly became silent and responded after a brief pause. They revealed that they were indeed from a nearby village, but their village was now in ruins as it was currently in a terrible state and could not even be called a village anymore. One by one, everyone collapsed from starvation, rendering them unable to move. The two couldn't bear the hunger any longer and decided to go outside the village to chase down small monsters to feed themselves. However, their reckless decision ended up with them in the same situation as the others in their village, passing out from hunger. Nadia thought that the situation was way worse than she had imagined. Since there were people crying out for help, Woody decided to venture out to the village and share their fruit with everyone. Both Megu and Dan looked at each other, thinking that the gods had not abandoned them after all. Under the scorching heat, a family was on the verge of passing out from hunger. The father could only apologize to his children for not being able to feed them. The child then asked why the gods would not give them food and water, to which their father responded that the gods may have been slain by monsters. When the three arrived at the village, they were shocked at what they saw, as the place did not look like it was properly repaired. Megu and Dan were both grateful that Woody and the others still visited their village. Woody told the two that it was only right to help each other in times of trouble. Woody wanted to greet the village chief, but all of a sudden a man got out of his tent, approached Woody's group, and threatened them. The man warned Woody and the others that anyone who trespassed into their village would be cut down without mercy. The threat sent shivers down both Woody's and Ira's spines. Although in a weakened state, the man, whose name was Shekri, still tried to pick up a sword and ordered the villagers to stay back. Before Shekri could do more harm, both Megu and Dan stepped in, vouching for Woody and the others. Megu and Dan explained that they were the ones who guided Woody's group. When Shekri asked why the two left the village, both Megu and Dan apologized and explained that they were just so hungry and thought they could handle small monsters. But that was not the case. Dan then informed their village chief that if they hadn't met Woody's group, they wouldn't have made it back. Finally understanding the situation, Shekri bowed his head, apologizing for his rudeness and thanking Woody for saving his people. Surprised by Shekri's change in behavior, Woody told Shekri that it was fine, as all they did was share some food. Woody thought that the village chief was scary at first, but after clearing up the misunderstanding, he saw a different person. Although the village chief looked very intimidating, with one look, Woody could see that the village chief was also a caring person who would do anything to protect his people. Taking a closer look at his surroundings, Woody noticed that everyone was so thin and lifeless, only able to stand with sheer willpower alone. Shekri apologized once again to Woody and wanted to properly thank Woody's group for saving his people. However, their current circumstances would not allow them to, since nothing was left in their village. Nadia told Shekri that he didn't have to worry about it, explaining that Woody extended his hand, not seeking any gratitude. Ira portrayed Woody in a good light, telling the village chief that Woody was just a kind person who would help anyone in need. Hearing the compliments he was receiving, Woody couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Woody then went straight to the point and told Shekri that the reason they visited the village was to help the people and restore the village. Shekri looked confused as to how Woody would help their village. Shekri was surprised when Woody presented him with a plate full of fruits. Woody asked Shekri to share the food with everyone. With just one bite, everyone in the village immediately regained their healthy looks and had their stomachs full. After tasting the fruit, the villagers felt like they had ascended to heaven. Other villagers even hallucinated from the deliciousness, feeling as if they were being drawn toward the afterlife. Both Nadia and Era understood the villagers' reactions, as they themselves had experienced the same thing. Shekri's children cheered, informing their father that they now felt completely full with just one bite. Shekri hugged his children so dearly, as he had thought he would never see them again. Later that night, Shekri and Woody's group continued to talk about the village. Woody eventually noticed that the only young men in the village were Dan and Shekri. When Nadia asked if something had happened in the village, Shekri explained that there was always conflict in the desert, as water and food would always be the target of everyone. Ira was shocked to learn that people would kill for food, even though they belonged to the same location. Shekri explained that although the desert was vast, the people who lived there came from different backgrounds. Many were once burdened by heavy taxes or forced conscription in their homelands and fled as refugees, seeking refuge in the desert. Since the desert was filled with dangerous monsters, few would risk their lives chasing after refugees. Shekri also revealed that he too was once a desert dweller but had escaped from the hardships of his home and sought refuge in the desert. The desert was very dangerous, as not only did it have many desert monsters lurking beneath the sand, but it also lacked fertile soil, making it impossible for grass and trees to grow. Since the land itself was deemed impossible to cultivate, both the kingdom and the Conrad family had abandoned the place. Woody had no idea what to say about the village chief's feelings and experiences, as his family governed the location, yet did not extend a helping hand. Woody's father had imposed heavy taxes and ruled with tyranny, making everyone suffer and pushing them to live in such a dangerous place. Woody wondered if his father had turned a blind eye to everything, just as he had pushed Woody's existence out of his sight. Looking at the sky and thinking about how breathtaking it was, Woody thought that he might finally be seeing things more clearly now. Seeing the worst parts of the land they governed, Woody decided to take matters into his own hands and help the people in the desert if his father refused to do so. Simurg then approached Woody, asking him if he had now made his decision. Full of determination, Woody walked toward Shekri, informing him of his plans to create a world where people could live peacefully, free from conflict. Shekri became alarmed when Woody revealed his true identity as a noble. Woody believed that it was his duty as a noble to protect his weaker people and work for their well-being. After seeing the reality of the desert village, Woody felt shame and regret for not knowing the extent of their suffering. Bearing his ignorance as his sin, Woody decided to start his plans in the desert village, working toward building a brighter future where everyone could smile forever. Woody promised that he would turn the land into a place of prosperity. If Woody's plans ever came to fruition, he only asked that Shekri allow him to make the place his domain. The villagers were still talking about what Woody had proposed to the village chief. They assumed that Woody might be exhausted from the desert heat and did not know the environment of the place he was trying to rule. When morning came, Megu was woken up by a leaf landing on her face. Dan then entered the tent, waking Megu up completely. Dan showed Megu their breakfast, fruits that he had harvested himself. Megu thought that she must be dreaming, as she had just eaten a delicious fruit yesterday and was once again blessed with another fruit for breakfast. When Megu stepped out of their tent, she was surprised to see their village full of trees and people wearing smiles on their faces. Both Nadia and Ira were helping the kids pick out the fruits they wanted to eat. Ira suggested that they keep eating first and then continue harvesting together later. Megu approached Woody and Shekri, who both greeted her with a good morning. Confused by what she was seeing, Megu told them that they should have woken her up if something miraculous had happened. Seeing how exhausted Megu had been yesterday, Dan thought it best not to wake her up and instead let her rest and regain her full strength. When Dan mentioned that he wanted to harvest fruit with everyone, it made Megu mad and she decided to ignore Dan. Woody was worried about the two, but he was reassured that they would be fine since the village was finally coming to life. Shekri still could not believe that a huge tree had grown in the middle of the desert overnight, making him think that everything was just a dream. Since the villagers' biggest problem was hunger, Woody decided to solve that problem first. Along with the world tree, Woody planted fruit trees that he had experimented with in the desert before. When Woody had first planted an apple tree in the desert, He thought that it wouldn't survive and removed it right away, but it turned out that the trees Woody planted with his ability weren't normal, as they could actually grow and bear fruit even on the sand. The smile points Woody collected came from Dan, Megu, and the entire village. Even though Woody was the one who planted the tree, he knew that the miracle itself was not something he had achieved alone. Woody believed that the miracle was brought to life by everyone's feelings. Nadia and Ira then informed Woody that they had distributed the fruit to the villagers. Both Nadia and Ira were full of praise for the fruit, saying that it provided a person with enough nutrients, not just for the body, but also for the soul. Fruits had always been considered just a snack, but after meeting the people of the desert village, Woody came to understand that everything was different now. With fruit as a valuable item for the desert people, Woody then thought of ways he could use the fruits, trading them in exchange for other necessities. However, Woody realized that he might be getting ahead of himself and planned to first fulfill his promise to Shekri. Woody thought that if he somehow made the place his sanctuary, then they would be able to establish a real orchard and save everyone from food shortages. Seeing Woody's innate talent for himself, Shekri revealed that he knew only nobles were granted special powers, which planted hatred in him toward the nobles. No matter how great the nobles' powers were, they would only use them for their own selfish desires, seeing others as nothing more than resources to exploit. However, after meeting Woody, Shekri thought that Woody might be the odd one out of the rest. While everyone else abandoned the desert, Woody himself made sure that he could try saving the village. The first time Shekri heard of Woody's plans, he was shocked, and explained that it was not because he doubted whether it was possible. The moment Shekri looked into Woody's unwavering eyes, he thought that Woody looked like a person who had already seen the land of prosperity, and after witnessing Woody's ability, Shekri realized that he was not mistaken. The agreement had been fulfilled. Shekri knelt in front of Woody, recognizing Woody as the lord of their territory. Everyone had the same thought as Shekri, as they were very much indebted to Woody for saving them from death's door. Woody could feel the warmth of everyone's gratitude and the even greater expectation the village had placed on him for a future of abundance. Finally feeling the weight of owning land, Woody was now determined to proceed with the path that he had chosen, the path of prosperity. Everyone was surprised when Simurgh appeared. Woody then informed Simurgh that he had chosen the sanctuary, requesting Simurgh to make the village a safe haven for all. Accepting Woody's request, Simurgh then bestowed his blessing, allowing the world tree to reach its full potential. Everyone was in shock, as they could not believe that their place, which was once surrounded by sand, was now full of green trees and grass. The kids were very excited when they saw a huge puddle of water. Shekri also could not believe what he had witnessed and thought that they might have taken in someone far beyond their imagination. Somewhere in the middle of the desert, a man received a report from his henchmen that they had found a huge leaf in the middle of the desert. Seeing the leaf and how it looked like it had been torn from a branch, the man stood up as he became very excited to take what Woody had created, claiming that everything in the desert belonged to him. Taking inspiration from a kingdom known as Prosperity, Woody decided to name the land that he now governs as Wenti. The elderly in the village did not expect that they would see the day when their desert village would turn into a paradise, bearing a grand name like Wenti. As the old woman told Woody that she couldn't thank him enough, the old man behind her told the old lady that she shouldn't be speaking so casually to Woody, since Woody is now the Lord of Wenti. The two elderly then proceeded to take a bow, making Woody feel embarrassed. Woody then informed the two elderly that there was no need for formalities, and that calling him by his name was just fine. Woody then informed everyone that he had already planted more fruit trees and hoped that they would eat to their heart's content. Era then called for everyone's attention, announcing that the freshly picked fruit party was about to begin. The announcement brought smiles to the children's faces. Nadia suggested to Woody that they take a short break, sharing how even harvesting the fruit was now a bit tiring. Woody planted 4 times the original amount they had planned for the village and now had over 24 trees. Nadia then mentioned that thanks to the sanctuary, they had now created an incredible orchard. Woody mentioned that each tree grew 5 fruits per hour, reassuring everyone in the village that they wouldn't be hungry anymore. Simurgh then joined their conversation, stating how the fruits grown by each tree rivaled even the fruit of the world tree in quality. Simurgh thought that he was already amazed enough by the miraculous fruit of the world tree, but was surprised after tasting the fruits of the other trees that Woody had planted. Simurgh stated that the reason why the other trees bore fruit overnight was not because of the sanctuary's power. The trees Woody planted were mixed with arborism, causing the trees to grow at an entirely unnatural rate. Since the world tree also produces fruit per day, Woody believed that arborization also worked for the world tree. Simurgh became nervous, thinking that he might be the only one overthinking. Woody then asked Simurgh to follow him, as Woody wanted to show the divine bird something. Simurgh was in shock when he saw a withered tree. Woody explained that the tree was planted outside the sanctuary the night before. The tree grew enough to bear fruit, but by morning it had already withered. Even though the trees inside the sanctuary were still living, Nadia realized the stark difference between the trees that were planted outside the sanctuary. Woody informed Simurgh that trees grown with arborization still needed a water source to survive. From what Woody observed, only the world tree was an exception. Simurgh believed in the importance of testing different things for the future, and then gifted Woody as a reward for his diligence. Woody was surprised when he was handed a huge slice of meat. Seeing how the meat was too heavy for Woody, Nadia immediately took the meat, removing the burden from Woody. Woody asked Simurgh if it was all right for them to receive something so valuable. However, Simurgh did not see the meat as more valuable than what he had already received, which was the miraculous fruit. Simurgh explained that he felt he was receiving too much in their deal, which made him decide that he would give Woody monster meat and materials as a gift. Both Woody and Nadia liked the idea, with Nadia stating that she already felt like they had established a small trade system through bartering. Listening to Nadia, Woody then thought of exporting the fruits they've grown and letting more people know about their place, making their trading system more known worldwide. Woody thought that with everyone benefiting from the sanctuary, it would be a win-win situation. After being thanked by Woody, Simurgh warns Woody to be careful and points out that monsters are not the only ones who are greedy and would take what Woody had built, stating how Wenti is an ideal target for raiders. Simurgh's words made Woody worry, but he then received a notification that he had gained another level and another tree species available for planting. As part of the sanctuary's functions, Woody had acquired the breeding skill. Era approaches Woody asking him if something was wrong. Woody explained that he was just planting trees and had unlocked more abilities. Woody then showed Era their new species of fruit trees, persimmon and chestnut trees. Woody was sure that persimmons could be eaten as they are, but he was not sure about the chestnut. Era then explained that chestnuts are valuable ingredients in making delicious sweets, and grinding the fruit could turn it into a sweet paste. Since they do not have that many ingredients, Era informed Woody of another option in making another type of sweet from the chestnut alone. With his newly acquired level and tree species, Woody was very much excited to plant the last tree in his skill, the mulberry tree. Upon checking his newly unlocked trees, Woody became very confused after seeing a tree species called house tree, light tree, and fire tree. Woody realized that his powers were getting out of hand as he received trees that are now more than out of the norm. Woody thought of sharing the information with others but realized that it would not help him or everyone. Woody redirected his focus to the skills that he could at least understand, which are the sanctuary functions and the breeding skill. Woody asked Simurgh about his newly acquired skills, to which the divine bird informed Woody that by planting the world tree, its sacred properties had also increased. The world tree absorbs magical energy and unleashes various powers, and with Woody's world tree absorbing more magical energy, it evolved the sanctuary, giving it more capabilities now. Woody was shocked and thought that the land flourishing was enough to make him believe that the tree was incredible, and was not expecting the world tree to do more. Before Simurgh could share his thoughts, they were interrupted by Megu and Dan, telling Woody that there's an emergency. Both Megu and Dan told Woody that the sand bandits are now headed for Wenti. Nadia went ahead and went to the top of the border of Wenti and was surprised at how clear the desert's visibility was on a windless day. Nadia could tell that the sand bandits had already caught wind of the change in the village. However, since there were only a few of the bandits, Nadia offered to take them out first. Nadia reminds Woody that he can't show mercy to bandits, as once they experience the joy of pillaging, such kinds of people would never stop taking everything that others have worked for. Woody understands Nadia's point, but it was not what made Woody worry. Woody mentioned that if the bandits that are coming to Wenti are scouts for bigger organizations, Woody was sure that they would immediately make more enemies for the village, which is something that Woody wanted to avoid. Woody suggests that they first capture the bandits and interrogate them, which Woody then asks for Nadia's help to complete the task. The bandits were surprised when they saw that the village was now covered in greenery. Believing that they had found the ultimate jackpot, the other bandits then started to smell something sweet, believing it to be food. The bandits remembered that they had already looted the same village before, which made the others think that some merchants or adventurers may have brought in something for the village. The leader of the bandits did not care about the reason, stating that he would take everything for himself. One of the bandits became scared, worried that they would run into adventurers. However, their leader only laughed, asking his underling if he thought that they would lose to adventurers. Afraid of what his leader might do to him, the underling immediately changed his mind and told the leader that he was just kidding. Pulling out their weapons, the bandits were about to charge at the village. Unfortunately for them, Nadia confronted them first, blowing them away from behind. Nadia warned the bandits that if they tried to destroy the kind world that Woody was creating, she would not show any mercy. Before the leader of the bandits could react, It was already too late as he became an example for the rest of the bandits. Beaten and covered with wounds, Nadia reassured the leader of the bandits that he would live since she only used the back of her blade. When the bandits were finally dragged into the village, they were shocked at how much had changed. The leader then noticed Nadia, the person who had captured them, talking to someone. Woody thanked Nadia for capturing the sand bandits and asked if she had gotten hurt. Nadia smirked and responded that a sword saint like her wouldn't get hurt, and the only worry she had was holding her strength back. Overhearing the conversation, the leader of the bandits' eyes widened as he heard that Nadia was a sword saint. Hearing his underling getting scared, the leader got mad at him for acting like a frail little girl. Nadia ordered the bandits to stop fighting among themselves, asking them if they still did not understand the situation. With the leader of the sand bandits talking back to Nadia, Nadia asked him if he wanted to taste her sword again. Woody then stepped in and asked for Nadia to calm down. Woody then approached the sand bandits, introducing himself as the lord of the village. The leader did not believe Woody's words, while the others remembered that the Conrad name was from a noble family. Woody confirmed to the sand bandits that he was a noble, and acted first by capturing the sand bandits to protect the village. Woody wished to avoid any unnecessary conflict, and believed that they could come to an understanding even with the likes of the sand bandits. To start the negotiation, Woody offered them a roasted chestnut as a snack. The sand bandits' eyes glowed and commented that the food looked amazing. Feeling embarrassed, the leader showed an angry expression toward his underlings. The leader of the sand bandits told Woody that he was acting exactly how a rich kid would do, trying to win them over by offering food. Woody responded to the leader, telling him that he had no expectations of winning the bandits over with a little food, since the bandits' true nature in the first place was to take everything. The leader of the bandits told Woody that pillaging villages is what they do, and that they would keep on doing it to all villages they see. The underling became worried that they would get cut down and asked the boss not to speak so bluntly. However, the leader already expected that they would get killed eventually, and did not see the point of pretending to be someone he was not. The leader told Woody the reality of the desert, which is that it's either they are killed or they kill to survive, and negotiations are nothing but a waste of time. Woody and the others took a momentary break, leisurely enjoying their snacks. Woody then praised Era for perfectly roasting the chestnuts, believing that the others would love them as well. Noticing how the sand bandits were not eating, Woody guessed that the bandits also had their pride. Woody was now relieved to learn that the bandits were not backed by some big organization. Shekri approached Woody, asking him what he intended to do with the bandits. Shekri shared that the villagers were still terrified of the bandits, and suggested to Woody that he decide the fate of the bandits soon. When Woody apologized for causing the villagers trouble, Shekri responded that there was nothing to apologize for since they had already recognized Woody as their lord, and that whatever action Woody chose they would not object. Shekri asked Woody if he intended to accept the bandits as part of the village, and was surprised when Woody responded, yes. Woody shared his plans for the desert, making it a place where everyone could live happily, which included the sand bandits as well. Woody understood that his idea was difficult to achieve, but he also did not want to give up easily and abandon others like how his father abandoned him. While Woody was busy talking to Shekri, the leader of the group wanted to take the opportunity to escape, and ordered his men to get up. However, knowing that Nadia would just stop them made the other bandits feel weak, and they told their leader that they would just be wasting their energy. The other bandits then thought of other ways to survive in their current situation, which included asking for an apology from Woody. Seeing how their leader would not budge at the other's suggestion, the young underling suggested that they turn over a new leaf and ask to be a part of the village. The underling's suggestion angered their leader even more. However, he still continued to voice his concerns, and how they would benefit more if they were part of the village. The leader of the sand bandits reminded his underlings that they had already chosen their paths, and being a part of the village was something they had never done before. The leader of the bandits reminded his underlings of what they did to the village before, pointing out that the village would never accept them. Understanding his leader's point, the young underling still wanted to bow his head and beg for forgiveness, trying everything he could in order to survive. As the leader called the young underling a coward for blinding himself over the promise of food, the young underling clarified to the leader that he was not blinded by the food, but he just wanted to keep on living alongside them like always. The young underling would not hesitate to throw away his pride of being a bandit just to see them all survive and live a different life. Era was so happy to see a treehouse in the sanctuary, believing it to be hers and Woody's brand new love nest. Woody then explained to Era that the house was a tree he planted for the village chief. Seeing Era looking depressed, Woody cheered her up by telling her that he would plant their own tree later. When Nadia finally saw the house, she was surprised to see that the plant Woody had planted was actually shaped like a house. Woody informed Nadia that the treehouse was not only shaped like a house but also had furniture, making it a real home. Nadia's eyes glowed, believing the tree would elevate the quality of the village. Seeing the interior of the house, Era thought that it was great for both physical and mental well-being. Woody never imagined that a plant species called the house tree would ever exist. There were other trees that Woody had yet to unlock after leveling up, but for Woody, the house tree was the most valuable tree to the village at the moment. The bandits that Nadia captured were currently in the village, and their presence was making the villagers very anxious. With the house trees, Woody believed that it could lessen the villagers' anxiety by allowing them to lock the doors. However, Woody was sure that such a plan would not be enough, as his goal was to reduce the burden of constantly monitoring the sand bandits. Woody then checked the list of skills and trees to see if he could use something to solve his problem. The leader of the bandits smelled something and asked his underlings if they could smell something weird. However, the underlings responded that it was difficult to discern what it was since they were blindfolded. The response angered the leader, and he ordered the underlings to use their noses. When the young underling smelled something burning, he immediately thought they were about to be publicly executed, which scared the leader. The sand bandits were surprised when they heard Nadia's voice ordering them to stop talking. Nadia told the sand bandits that she did not come to instill fear, but instead visited them to give them something good. When the blindfolds were finally removed, the sand bandits were shocked to see trees that were on fire. Though Woody welcomed the sand bandits, the bandits were too preoccupied with the fire trees and ignored Woody. Even though Woody apologized since the fires were still a little strong, the sand bandits were still confused about what was happening. Era had a different thought, believing the fire to be working just perfectly fine. What Woody intended was for the tree to appear not as a threat but as a deterrent, which actually worked. Since animals instinctively fear fire, Woody thought of planting fire trees around the sand bandits. The fire trees could also cast fire magic, so Woody decided to create a fiery enclosure. After showing the sand bandits their tent to sleep in, Woody mentioned that going near the trees would be very hot. However, it was also beneficial since the nights in the desert tended to be very cold. All of a sudden, the leader of the sand bandits was pushed towards the fire tree, which led to him being burned. Nadia then informed the leader of the sand bandits to consider what he received as a lesson learned, suggesting that they abandon any wicked thoughts. The other sand bandits immediately jumped into the tent, feasting on the fruits inside. The bandits could not help but cry out their frustrations after finally eating something so delicious. The bandits' actions angered the leader, as he was worried that the food might be poisoned. However, Nadia informed the leader that he was the one who should be called an idiot. Nadia pointed out that they didn't need poison to kill them, as she alone was enough to do such a task. Woody then stepped in, informing the sand bandits that there was no trickery involved. He told the sand bandits that while they were within the sanctuary, they would be considered part of the village, and Woody couldn't allow the people living in his place to go hungry. Seeing a young noble acting all high and mighty reminded the leader of his past, when he promised himself that he would soon become a big shot. Simurgh was flying over the orchard and took a fruit, visiting Woody and informing him that the newly planted grapes were exquisite. Woody thanked Simurgh for patrolling the village again. Seeing Simurgh munch down on the fruit, Nadia told him that his presence as a divine beast had completely vanished. Woody thought that Nadia might be exhausted from dealing with the sand bandits and suggested that she rest. Nadia reassured Woody that she was alright and asked if it was really okay to leave the sand bandits unwatched. Woody also reassured Nadia that leaving the sand bandits unattended was fine, revealing that he had made adjustments to the fire tree enclosure, trapping the area inside with fire. Following Woody's orders, Nadia then laid down on the bed, hoping that they could make the night more passionate. Nadia's actions enraged Ira, who told the Sword Saint that there wouldn't be any sneaky rendezvous allowed. Believing himself to be a nuisance, Simurgh decided to leave and head toward the World Tree. While Simurgh thought that the World Tree bore fruit, Woody revealed that the tree did not have any fruit, which shocked Simurgh. The divine bird was in anguish, asking Woody what he was supposed to eat. Woody then handed Simurgh a fruit, explaining that the tree was different from the others. Ira overheard Woody and asked what he meant by it. Woody explained that all the world trees he had planted before could bear fruit, but after leveling up, he could now plant a world tree that did not bear any fruit. Woody planted the world tree inside his home and planned to observe it. Simurgh thought that a fruitless tree felt a little lonely. However, Woody thought differently, believing the fruitless world tree to be something necessary for them. Thinking about how valuable a world tree was, Nadia and Era became worried that the sand bandits would do something rash if they ever found out the true value of the world tree. Woody planned to replant all of the world trees tomorrow. Era also pointed out that even though they would be replacing the world trees, the other species of trees would still hold great value because they could produce food in a place like the desert. Woody realized that the true issue, something they would have to fix, was getting the sand bandits to change their ways. After telling Era that she was right, Woody thought about how he could not see the sand bandits turning over a new leaf. Woody did not want to abandon anyone, but with the reality in front of him, he wondered how he could bridge the massive gap. Nadia and Era encouraged Woody, suggesting that he start by trying what he could. Era thought that the sand bandits might be of help with harvesting under supervision. Woody then realized that farming was no longer impossible since they already had a water source, which meant there would be plenty of work for everyone to do. Woody thanked the two for giving him ideas and hoped that the sand bandits would be willing to cooperate. Nadia pointed out to Woody that if he tried to hit the sand bandits' heads, they would surely move, but reforming them might be impossible. Simurgh then joined the conversation, informing Woody that the reformation process might not be as difficult as he thought. Woody whispered to Simurgh, telling the divine bird that the reformation he was thinking of might be different. Gasping, Simurgh explained that the sanctuary had the ability to ward off evil. He further explained that the sanctuary not only warded off evil, but also purified negative emotions within its bounds. Simurgh pointed out that a sudden change in the sand bandits would surely not happen, but by spending time inside the sanctuary, the sand bandits would gradually gain a purer heart. Simurgh revealed to Woody that the key to reformation was granting the villagers aptitude, and by using the power of aptitude, they could accelerate the purification process. When Woody was young, he learned from his teachers that only nobles possess talent, and that for a commoner to be granted talent is extremely rare. Nobles undergo the blessing ceremony when they turn 15 and receive their talent. Aptitude refers to an acquired talent and is essentially a skill. The young nobles were taught that the difference between the nobles and commoners lies in whether one possesses aptitude or not. Woody had doubts about what his teachers had told him before, but he never found the answer to his questions. Woody felt like a bomb had been dropped on him after Simurgh told him that they could use the power of the sanctuary to grant aptitude to the commoners of the village. Seeing Woody's concerned look, Simurgh asked Woody what was wrong. Simurgh believed that if the villagers gained aptitude, they would surely be able to do more. Woody explained that Simurgh's idea sounded amazing. However, since the villagers were commoners, there was no guarantee that they would receive an aptitude. Nadia informed Simurgh of what was told to them by their instructors, that it is extremely rare for commoners to receive an aptitude. Nadia thought that the idea of granting the commoners aptitude was not possible. However, there was no proof that it was impossible since it had never been done before. Simurgh then thought of an idea and ordered Woody to gather everyone in the village immediately, as they would perform a blessing ceremony for them. With all the villagers gathered in one place, Shekri was asked if some kind of event was being held. Shekri's children thought that there would be some kind of festival and suggested that they all dance. Shekri laughed and told everyone that the divine beast had something to say to them. Meanwhile, a shy girl named Fiona told her friend that she was fine staying in the back. However, her friend insisted that they move to the front. Seeing that everyone was now present, Simurgh then announced that he would be starting the blessing ceremony. Everyone was shocked, as they knew that the blessing ceremony was an event that allowed nobles to receive their aptitude. The villagers were hesitant to participate since they were just commoners. To start off the blessing ceremony, Simurgh decided to begin with the village chief first. Shekri was also unsure if it was all right for commoners like them to participate in such an important event. However, Shekri could not refuse since Simurgh had chosen him himself. With the divine bird's eyes glowing, Shekri received the aptitude of a priest, a guide of faith, leading others with the hope of divine protection. Shekri was more surprised that he had actually received an aptitude than he was by the fact that he had received the aptitude of a priest. Shekri explained that he felt like something inside him, something he hadn't noticed before, had suddenly become undeniable after the ritual. Seeing the ritual being performed on Shekri made Woody think that the ceremony was an amazing idea. Seeing a commoner receive a blessing, Woody thought that it might be something only a divine beast could do. However, Simurgh revealed that he did not do anything special since it is only humans who decide what is considered special. Simurgh explained that aptitude knows neither noble nor commoner, and the proof of that was Shekri, who had just received an aptitude. Nadia and Woody were puzzled and asked Simurgh why they were taught differently by their teachers. Simurgh told the two that aptitude appears more often in noble bloodlines. However, there are also a fair number of commoners who can receive an aptitude. Woody was shocked to learn that what he was taught was not entirely correct, having been taught rules that only benefited the nobles. Though Nadia was still having a hard time grasping the news, she still found it very amazing. Shekri's kids cheered for their father, even expressing their desire to receive an aptitude as well. When Shekri told his children that one could only receive an aptitude when they turned 15, Simurgh interrupted them and mentioned that age was another local rule, and that human age was irrelevant in receiving an aptitude. Everyone was shocked by the information that Simurgh was telling them. Since Shekri received the aptitude of a priest, Simurgh then instructed Shekri to perform the blessing in his stead. Shekri was shocked and told Simurgh that his aptitude could not replace the divine beast's task. Simurgh explained that people with the aptitude for priestly roles could grant aptitude within their sanctuary, which meant that the divine bird's task was finished. Simurgh defended himself, stating that he was not slacking off. Simurgh revealed that if he conducted the ceremony, he would have to communicate with the gods, and that could get more complicated with all his obligations. Shekri was worried since he didn't know how to use his powers, but Simurgh reassured Shekri that his priest aptitude knew what to do, and that all he needed to do was close his eyes and focus on his aptitude. Following Simurgh's instructions, Shekri bestowed Maclay with water magic, Dan with a swordsman talent, Fiona with fire magic, and Megu with the aptitude of a pirate. As a result of the blessing ceremony, about 20% of the villagers received aptitudes. Woody was very happy and surprised to hear the news. Shekri was also surprised and mentioned that some were disappointed that they did not receive anything. However, considering the fact that they were able to participate in an important ceremony and received blessings from it, Shekri told Woody that they would use the blessings they gained for the good of the village. With more smiles returning to the village, Woody also benefited as he gained tons of smile points. Celebrating with everyone, Woody was grateful for everyone's smiles. Nadia and Era gathered those who had received combat aptitudes and announced that they would now start their training. Megu asked Ira if she needed to train as well since she received the pirate blessing. Ira told Megu that her blessing required a lot of stamina, which meant that she would be participating in the training along with Dan under Nadia's care. Maclay thought that receiving training under Era would be more gentle. However, that was not the case, as Era gave them instructions that were far beyond their expectations. After Nadia told Megu and Dan that they would be running drills until sundown, their shrieks were heard all over the village. Knowing what type of people Nadia and Era were, Woody wondered if he could really leave the training to the two of them. Flying over Woody, Simurgh commented that the place was getting lively again. Simurgh told Woody that once everyone got used to their new powers, Shekri should also be skilled enough to rehabilitate the sand bandits. Woody was shocked, as he was not sure if having Shekri rehabilitate the sand bandits was a task they could ask so casually. Simurgh reassured Woody that such a task would be easy for people with the priest's blessing, as their sermons could cleanse evil hearts. Almost forgetting something, Woody handed Simurgh a new fruit as a reward for the ceremony he held. Though the fruit was a bit unusual, Woody still hoped that the divine bird would like it. Simurgh was very curious about what type of fruit it might be, and asked Woody to show it to him. Simurgh was shocked to his core when he saw the grape infused with fire magic, calling the fruit a fire muscat. The intense fire coming from the fruit was so hot that it almost burned the divine bird. Woody also revealed that he had a water muscat, an earth muscat, and a wind muscat. Woody asked for Simurgh's opinion about his latest creation, the element muscats. Both Nadia and Era were in shock after learning that Woody had crossbred a grapevine with a fire tree. Seeing everyone's expressions, Woody immediately avoided eye contact. Woody explained what had happened. His planting skill had leveled up, which led to him unlocking the hybridization skill. The new skill allowed Woody to take a new leap in his experiments and learn what he could achieve. Woody revealed that he had made other types of hybrid trees and handed the fruits to Nadia, Ira, and Simurgh. The girls thought that the fruit just looked like a normal peach and apple. However, the moment they took a bite, everyone's eyes widened, as the fruit they were tasting had the opposite flavor. The apple tasted like a peach, and the peach tasted like an apple. Both Nadia and Ira were a bit concerned since the fruits were messing with their heads, as the taste did not match the fruit's appearance at all. Woody revealed that the fruits were called momoringo, a fruit that Woody had crossbred from a peach and an apple. When Ira asked why the fruits tasted different, Woody explained that it was because the fruit had inherited different traits from its source, resulting in unexpected flavors. The momoringo tree produced 4 different types of fruit. Listening to Woody made both Nadia and Ira curious about experimenting with different fruits, wanting to know what kind of results they could achieve. After agreeing that combining 2 fruits would not guarantee that the new fruit would be delicious, Woody was then scolded by Nadia for crossbreeding a fruit with a fire tree, telling Woody that his actions were reckless. Woody explained that he just couldn't suppress his overflowing curiosity. Woody then apologized to Simurgh for giving him a fruit mixed with a dangerous element. He was surprised when Simurgh consumed the fire muscat, but he was even more surprised when Simurgh looked completely fine after eating it. Putting out the fire on Simurgh's head, he apologized again, as he did not expect Simurgh to actually eat the fruit. Simurgh commented that the fruit was an exotic delicacy. However, he added that it was not a fruit that could be eaten by an average person. The heat of the fire muscat had the same intensity as a beginner-level fire spell, which was something that couldn't be considered delicious at all. When Simurgh tasted the wind muscat, he suddenly jumped with happiness, commenting that the fruit he had just tasted was absolutely delicious. Simurgh then informed Woody that he had made a major discovery with the wind muscat. The wind-imbued grapes were pure bliss for beings like Simurgh, who was attuned to wind magic. Simurgh believed that if someone had an affinity for a certain element, they would find the matching element incredibly delicious. Upon realizing that not only a divine beast could enjoy the element muscat, both Nadia and Woody immediately tasted the element muscat that matched their own affinities. However, they ended up feeling disappointed as the fruit only tasted strange to them. Nadia then suggested to Ira that she try the water muscat since she was a water mage. Ira refused to eat the fruit, but it was already too late. Nadia had shoved the water muscat into Ira's mouth. Upon tasting the fruit, Ira's eyes widened as she experienced a burst of flavor, a flavor she had never tasted before. Ira was so amazed by the fruit that she ended up falling over. Upon realizing that anyone who could match the fruit's element could experience a new, delicious taste, Woody looked at Nadia, showing a scary expression. Ira stood up and thought about giving the element muscats to Maclay and Fiona, since the two were attuned to water and fire magic. Remembering that the training lasted until sunset, Woody suggested to Era that she give them the fruit once training was over. The moment Era touched the fire muscat, she was instantly burned, almost dropping the fruit to the ground. When Woody asked Era if she was fine, Era became annoyed and wondered why Woody could hold the fruit so calmly. Woody did not feel any heat from the fruit even though it was engulfed in flames. Woody wondered if being the creator of the fruit was the reason why he was immune to its fire. From the fire muscat, Woody realized that the fire tree might also be the same. Realizing how he messed up by handing Era something that could hurt her, Woody immediately apologized for being so careless. Ira reassured Woody that she was fine as she had only been burned for a moment. Nadia then commented on how Ira was just overreacting since the fire in the fire muscat had the same intensity as a beginner-level fire spell. When Simurgh asked Woody if he planned to crossbreed more fruits moving forward, Woody responded that he did plan to continue. As he saw the boundless potential of the fruit, Woody revealed a hybrid from the muscat tree, a burning vine. Nadia realized that with crossbreeding, any trees, plants, or fruits mixed with the fire tree would have flames that would never burn away. Shekri approached Woody after being called, asking Woody what he wanted to talk about. Before discussing the main topic, Woody asked Shekri how he was adjusting to his priest aptitude. Shekri told Woody that compared to the beginning, he had gotten more used to the ability. However, Shekri was a bit sad since the only time he used his ability was during the blessing ceremony. After that, Shekri mostly just scanned through some old sand-covered holy scriptures. Shekri wondered if he should also do some kind of training. Woody wondered if the issue involved the environment. Woody then used his skill and created a treehouse, explaining that it was a new type of house created by crossbreeding a house tree with the world tree. Woody then presented Shekri with his new church. Shekri was beyond amazed as the interior was much bigger and grander than the other houses. Woody was relieved that his crossbreeding had worked and was sure that the place would feel more like a church once they set up the interior. Since the house also had the world tree's genes, Woody asked Shekri if he could feel any divine energy from the place with his priest aptitude. Closing his eyes, Shekri felt like his mind had become clearer and more serene than ever. Shekri could now sense what he needed to do. Shekri told Woody that he wished to establish a formal church and welcome the sand bandits into their community, cleansing the darkness that resided within their hearts. With the newly planted treehouse and Shekri's sermons, the village of Wenti had gained itself a church. Both Woody and Era praised Shekri for now looking more like a priest. The old man called for Woody, wanting to show him something. When the secret was unveiled, Woody was shocked to see a statue of himself and Simurgh. When Simurgh saw the statue, he was immediately amazed and commented that his dignified look had been recreated successfully. Seeing Simurgh so happy, Era believed that a divine beast like Simurgh might have resonated with its statue. Seeing Woody's statue, Nadia immediately requested to have it placed in her bed. When the old man accepted Nadia's request, Era immediately voiced her concerns, stating that Woody's statue was a sacred one. Impressed with the old man's work, Woody did not expect that one of his people would be able to create such dignified art. The old man was very pleased to hear the praise, mentioning that he had never felt useful before as all he ever did in the past was play with sand and carve stones to distract himself from hunger. With tears in his eyes, the old man told Woody that the empty, meaningless house he once had now felt like it had been given purpose. Hearing the old man's story, Woody and the others could not help but tear up and sympathize with him. Both Nadia and Ira felt guilty for secretly planning to hug the statue at night. After the mass had ended, everyone in the village was very supportive of Shekri, praising him for the story he had told. Maclay was one of the people who was very happy with the church, as he thought they could now gather in one place. Seeing his kids become happy with what he had now achieved, Woody approached Shekri and mentioned that everyone looked very happy. Shekri responded that he had only managed to make the sermon more presentable. Era told Shekri how he now looked like an evolved version of the village chief. He told Woody and the others that since it was his first time giving a sermon, all he could say was, "Thank you to Woody for saving the desert village." Shekri was still unsure if he was doing the right thing. Simurg appeared, flying above everyone, and mentioned to Shekri that it was only fitting for him to follow what his heart was saying. Listening to Simurg, Shekri realized that he could use his true experiences and emotions in preaching. He finally understood why he had difficulty reading the Holy Scriptures. It was because the contents of the Scriptures did not resonate with him. Not wanting to forget the gratitude he felt towards Woody, Shekri promised that it would be their turn next time Woody needed their help. After promising to pass down his teachings to their children and grandchildren, Simurg liked the idea and suggested they put it into writing, creating their own personal scriptures. Simurg tells Shekri that once they have finished with the scriptures, they would have to come up with a name for the scriptures. Unfortunately, Shekri was not sure of any good name for his upcoming scriptures. Woody thought of a name and shared it with everyone, asking if Wintry Faith is appropriate enough for the party. Shekri immediately grabbed Woody's hand, commenting on how the name was brilliant. Listening to the conversation, Era assumed a different faction, imagining Woody and Simurg celebrating their wedding. Later that night, Nadia confronted the Sand Bandits. The leader was not pleased to have been forced to do manual labor and vowed to take his revenge. However, the gap between him and Nadia was so vast that the leader ended up with his face on the ground. The other bandits had completely changed, no longer worrying about their leader. Nadia then told the Sand Bandits that moving forward, they would listen to Shekri's daily sermons. The news shocked everyone, to which the leader immediately told Shekri that listening to his sermon would be comparable to a joke. The young underling had no problems with listening, but upon seeing his boss glare at him, the young underling immediately changed his mind. The young underling was very happy that they were still alive and had been spared, but he was very curious if Woody's plan to have Shekri preach sermons would be enough for the leader to change his ways. The young underling whispered to their leader, telling him that the sermons might just be their way of joining the village. The leader let out a deep breath and reminded his underlings that once they crossed the line, there was no longer any going back. In the desert, if they did not strike first, they would die. With the harsh ways of living, the leader's father also suffered the same fate and died face down in the sand. The leader could not throw away his identity as a bandit, as he was sure that for the people he had killed and hurt, he would never be forgiven. Listening to the leader's story, the young underling was not expecting the leader to reveal that his father was also killed by bandits. Knowing more about their leader, the young underling slowly realized why their leader was adamant about staying true to who they actually were and avoided any possible change. The young underling reached the same thought as his leader, that the village would never forgive them for their past. The young underling apologized to his leader and told the leader that he was wrong. The young underling explained how he had been thinking naively and not truly understanding anything. The young underling promised their leader that he would follow him no matter what, even to the ends of hell. The underlings felt a sense of new camaraderie, dedicating themselves fully to their leader. Greeting the bandits, Shekri expresses his gratitude towards them for coming to the church. Though the leader complied, he still was not pleased and sensed that the place was throwing him off. Shekri wanted to start off their meeting with a sermon. Shekri remembered seeing the bandit leader talking to his underling earlier and suggested that he let out his concerns or problems without any worries. The bandit leader refused and told Shekri that it was nothing, and that they were just griping about the village. The bandit leader's taunts didn't work, as Shekri just admitted that they were a bit rough towards the bandits, and also expressed his regrets for their actions. This only pissed the bandit off, and he thought that Shekri was up to something. The bandit leader had had enough and told Shekri to just reveal what he was planning instead of calling their meeting a sermon. Shekri turned his back on the bandits and told them that he merely wanted to talk with them while sharing a meal. When the bandit leader realized that Shekri and the village still wanted to talk about food, it angered him. Shekri explained how the situation had changed from when the bandits first came into their village. Back then, eating food in the village was out of the question. However, now the village could eat mountains of fruits. Handing over a fruit, Shekri asks the bandit leader to take a seat, as he had brought freshly picked fruits for them. Though hesitant, the boss's underling whispers in his ear that the fruit was his favorite. Pissed off, the bandit leader told his subordinates to stop saying unnecessary things. Overhearing the conversation, Shekri told the bandit leader that if he was not going to eat the peach, then they would have no food until night. The bandit leader was left with no other option but to eat the peaches. With the bandit leader's decision to sit down, it surprised both sides. When the bandit leader told Shekri that he would not be saying anything, Shekri responded that it was fine. Outside the church, both Ira and Woody were nervously waiting. Ira then saw Simurg and asked about the situation inside the church. With a smile on its face, Simurg tells the two that it was a needless worry. Hearing those words, Woody becomes excited and asks Simurg if everything went well. Simurg explained that Shekri and the rest of the bandits were eating at the dining table, and that the rest was now up to everyone. As Woody expressed his relief, Simurg asked him if he was worried. Nervous, Woody shared that he fully trusts Shekri but is still worried. Before the meeting, Shekri asks Woody for a favor, which is to let him lead the sermon in his own way. When Woody asked if there was something Shekri wanted to do, Shekri responded that although he is confident with his sermons, he first wanted to use the opportunity to share a meal with the bandits and talk things over. Shekri's plan shocked Woody, which immediately worried Shekri and made him ask if his plan was dangerous. Woody tells Shekri that he would be safe if Nadia is with him. However, Woody is still worried for Shekri since he made a similar mistake in the past, and that the interaction may lead to a point that they won't be able to refuse any longer. Understanding Woody's point, Shekri thought that giving a normal sermon was the much better option. Shekri apologized and explained how he tends to get all confused whenever he starts thinking about many things. Despite being a priest, Woody could tell that Shekri still feels uncertain in his way, and may still be searching for his own path of preaching that is true to himself. Woody wonders if what he had said was correct and if he can really do something to help Shekri. Reminiscing Ira's happy expression, Woody agrees to Shekri's plan, though there was a possibility that Shekri's plan may fail. Woody suggests that they just try again and invite the Sand Tribe people to a meal. Shekri was deeply touched by Woody's words. In Woody's mind, he thought that the only thing he can do is to believe in Shekri's feelings and give him a push forward, just like how Ira once did for him. As the sun began to set, Shekri, along with the bandits, came out of the church. Though things did not change right away, Shekri wore a more gentle expression which signifies his faith towards the bandits who were now returning to their homes. Later that night, Woody thanked Nadia for her help. Nadia responds that she merely did nothing but kept an eye on the bandits. With the bandits behaving, Nadia ended up having stiff shoulders from staying still for too long. To ease Nadia's tension, Woody took responsibility and plans to massage Nadia's shoulders himself. Embarrassed, Nadia suddenly mentioned how she wanted to have her body fondled in places where people can see. This surprised Woody, wondering if he was hearing Nadia right. Nadia turns and tells Woody that she would be willing to accept whatever Woody wishes to do, and that he may massage her as hard as he likes. Ira had enough of Nadia and decides to offer her both a massage and a freshly grilled meat. With the smell of meat tempting, everyone ate it and was surprised at how delicious it was. While Nadia is still relishing the taste of the meat, Simurg asks her about the sermon and how it went, and if her pastoral training helps things wrap smoothly. Nadia clarifies that things didn't go smoothly but still went well. Nadia believes that things just went according to Shekri's way. Earlier inside the church, Nadia continued to observe the bandits who were enjoying the peaches. Despite the heavy atmosphere, the sermon somehow made it to the meal portion. Looking at the peach, the bandit starts calling the fruit Momo, and compliments how it looked good. This annoyed the bandit leader and told the underling to be quiet. Shekri laughs and tells the bandits that the peaches are soft, and that one has to handle it gently when picking it off the tree. The bandit becomes excited, asking Shekri if Momo turned into a tree. With everyone becoming excited, Shekri suggests that they try harvesting the fruit themselves. Enraged, the bandit leader gritted his teeth and told Shekri that he had figured him out, and that Shekri was only sweet-talking to them so that they would then have to work themselves to the bone. Shekri assumed that the bandit leader was talking about labor, and told him that even the kids in the village could pick the fruits off. Shekri clarifies that both the elderly and the younglings enjoy picking off fruits from trees as it is a good way to exercise. Holding off his anger, the bandit leader couldn't believe what he was hearing. Staring at Shekri, the bandit leader admitted that he could not read Shekri at all. However, he too is confident that he wouldn't be fooled. The bandit leader believes that the scriptures that Shekri is reading have some kind of trap. When Shekri notices the bandit leader glancing at the book, he picks it up and asks the bandit leader if he was curious about the scriptures. Shekri tells the bandit leader that there was no need for any suspicions towards the book, since he only considers it as his personal journal. The bandit leader was shocked as he had never expected for the book to be a journal. Shekri explained that he has recorded his thoughts based on his experiences in the village, and to soon pass the things he learned to the children so that it wouldn't be forgotten. Shekri tells the bandits how parents do not want for their kids to make the same mistakes as they did, and that sermons are the tools to pass the knowledge to everyone. The bandit leader thought the book was just a load of useless things. Shekri shares that the bandits are also included in his journal, and that it talks about how the bandits suddenly showed up and took all the little food that they had. The underling bandit nervously laughs as he admits that what was written in the book was the truth. In Shekri's journal, he also included their days of unending starvation and the children who were born and raised in it. Fortunately for the village, they were saved by Woody and his companions, thus transforming the village into a land of abundance. Shekri shares with the bandits the story of how their village became what it is now, and how Woody saved them all. The young underling felt displeased since in Shekri's book, it sounded like they were the total villains. The underling's comment angered the bandit leader, pointing out that they should be the villains since they are bandits. Shekri explained that he did not mean for the bandits to be portrayed as villains. Shekri tells the bandit leader that the reality was not everyone is lucky, but in order to change the future of their desert, they would need to pass on the luck that they've received to the next person. Shekri stretches out his hand, sharing his decision to share the bounty of their village with everyone, including those who have caused them pain in the past. Shekri believes in the saying that food tastes better when shared with everyone, which is also the reason what makes the food the most delicious. Inside their tent, the bandit leader couldn't stop thinking about what Shekri said, that the food tastes better when shared with everyone. Meanwhile, in Woody's room, Woody, who had dozed off, was suddenly awoken by a presence that appeared out of nowhere. Recognizing the person to be Acid, Woody was confused and was certain that Acid couldn't be present in front of him. The person then smiles and reveals that he is just an illusion that Woody created. Confused, Woody wondered if he was currently having a dream. The mysterious person tells Woody that he is the fear and anxiety in Woody's heart. Shocked, Woody responded that he does not feel fear nor anxiety right now. The mysterious person continued talking, telling Woody how nice it would have been if everything had stayed a happy ending forever. Copying Woody's image, the copycat reminded Woody about how he was supposed to become the Grand Mage. A flash of light appeared beside them, and they saw a glimpse of his past self and his parents. Woody, who thought that things would eventually go well, ended up getting betrayed after believing. Woody then woke up from his nightmare, shaking. Looking at his companions still sleeping, Woody thought how glad he was that the fear and anxiety were just a part of his dream. Woody assumed that both his fear and anxiety had faded a little thanks to everyone in Wenti. Woody guessed that the weak part inside him was growing stronger because of what happened with the sand bandits. However, Woody was certain that Shekri's preaching went off without a hitch. With a determined look, Woody tells himself that he can't let fear or anxiety control him. The next day, Woody was woken up by Nadia, scaring him. Nadia then informs Woody that something terrible was happening outside and that he should come quickly. Scared of what the terrible thing might be, Woody immediately thought of the sand bandits. What crossed Woody's mind was that the sand bandits had successfully rebelled and had taken control of Wenti. When the panting Woody finally arrived, the bandit leader confronted him and ordered Woody to have them help with their harvest. Woody was confused at what was happening. Shekri apologized and revealed that he was the one who invited the bandits to help with their morning harvest. The bandit leader clarifies that he never wanted to work in the first place, and that her underlings just wanted to try harvesting, which he just went along with. Understanding the situation, Woody agrees to have the sand bandits help, and decides to pull back the iron tree. Concerned, Nadia asks Woody if that was okay. Woody responds, telling Nadia that they will just leave it up to Shekri. After picking off their first fruit, the sand bandits couldn't hide their excitement and thought the task was much easier. Looking at everyone, Woody thought how everything still feels like a dream and not the nightmare that he had last night. Nadia agrees and apologizes to Woody for suddenly waking him up. When Nadia got up early for the village patrol, she was ordered by Shekri to bring Woody out right away. Nadia thought that the time had finally come to cut the sand bandits down, but later realized that she had jumped the gun. Looking at Nadia's expression, Woody asks her to stop looking so disappointed. Era then approaches Woody, telling him that he was still in his pajamas. Finally noticing his outfit, Woody explained that he rushed out in a panic. Era suggests that they head back home to change. After witnessing for themselves, Era tells Woody that it was now safe for them to think that there's nothing to worry about. Era suggests that after Woody changes his clothes, they would have breakfast with their unusual guests. Staring at the open gate, the bandit leader took a bite of the fruit that they had picked up and commented on how sweet it was. The other bandits then told their leader how they thought that their leader would just bolt off running with the harvested fruit. The bandit leader snarls and thinks of Nadia, which makes escaping impossible. The bandits then ask their boss if he really just wanted them to do the harvesting, and if he has decided to work in the village. The bandit leader becomes angry at the two, pointing out that what they had said is a huge leap in logic. The bandit leader clarifies that the harvest is just one part of protecting the village, which the underling agrees with. The bandit leader then notices the underling chomping down all of the fruits. When the underling noticed that his leader was staring at him, he tells his leader that they have to load up while they can. The underling's action made the bandit leader think that he was being too greedy. The bandit leader was shocked when the underling made him realize that once they leave the village, they would no longer be able to eat so many delicious foods. The underling also mentioned how he does not want to pass out from hunger over something stupid. Hearing those words, the bandit leader suddenly foresees their future that is full of hunger and death. The underling, along with the other bandits, sees their boss frozen and tries to get his attention. Hearing Shekri's words in his head, the bandit leader remembered Shekri's sermon about sharing one's good fortune with others in order to change their terrible future. The bandit leader then went inside their tent, which made the underling become nervous and ask the others if he had said something weird. The others thought that the fruit might be just too sweet, which made the bandit leader feel sick. However, the underling couldn't help but feel worried about his leader. Laying inside, the bandit leader continues to think about how his underlings were astonished to even see an apple tree, remembering his underlings' words, which were now wrapping around his head. The bandit leader felt annoyed as his head wouldn't shut up. After remembering all of his underlings' suggestions, the bandit leader thought that they'd already crossed the line. Remembering his underlings' words of loyalty, the bandit leader suddenly saw a vision of the other bandit's corpse, which was caused by his selfish decision. This frightened the bandit leader. Covering his face, he wonders why he is now suddenly seeing horrible visions. Realizing that he was full after eating so many fruits, the bandit leader wonders if he was now scared of leaving the village and going back to his bandit life. The young underling enters the tent, asking him if he is okay. The underling suggested to their boss that he drink some water. The underling points out that if they are indeed planning on running away, they need their boss in good shape. Hearing his underling mention how they've only become bandits because of him, the bandit leader remembers his past deeds, and what contributed to it was his thought that being a bandit is what they are. The bandit leader thought that if the day would come that they would die from starvation, he believes that it was because they reached the point that they have become weak. But it then lingered in the bandit leader's mind if he could really die with no regrets. After seeing his horrible visions, the bandit leader thought about how he does not want for it to happen to his underlings. Ira offers Nadia a tea, which Nadia immediately recognizes by the fragrance. Ira shared that she squeezed some peaches and made it into a peach tea. With more help coming from the sand bandits, Ira and the others were now able to harvest a lot more. With the bandit leader picking off the last fruit of the tree, he was surprised when the tree branches started rustling. What shocked the bandit leader more was that more fruits grew from the empty tree. Laughing, Shekri explained that new fruits grow every hour on the tree. If they don't keep picking the fruits, then they will keep piling up. Annoyed, the bandit leader took a bite of the fruit and was starting to get used to how sweet it is. Throwing the fruit to the underling, the bandit leader was starting to crave meat since they've only eaten fruits for a while. The underling laughs and tells the bandit leader that his complaint is quite luxurious. Hearing noises outside, the bandit leader asked the village chief about the commotion that was happening. When they were told that it was training, the young underling became shocked and immediately thought of harsh meditations, to which Shekri immediately corrected him. Woody shared with the sand bandits that the villagers are doing hunting training. Somewhere in the village, Fiona and the other young, talented villagers were practicing their magic and swordsmanship on logs. Hearing clapping behind them, the villagers turned and were surprised to see Woody and the others. Looking further back, the villagers immediately became frightened after seeing the bandits. Fiona was then asked to calm down, as she was then told by the others that they now are capable of fighting. Meanwhile, the underling pointed out to his boss that what they had witnessed was magic. Shekri explained to the bandits that what they saw was a gift. In the tree village, they performed the blessing ritual, which helped the four gain gifts and are undergoing special training. Adding more information to their fully loaded brains, the bandit leader commented on how Shekri continues to casually say something outrageous. Approaching the beaten logs, the underling realizes that the young villagers were using logs as a stand-in for an enemy. Nadia tells the underling that before one could hit a moving target, one must learn how to hit a stationary one first. Though the bandits understood the logic, they thought that the log wasn't taking much damage, which the other bandits also agreed with. Checking the log herself, Nadia immediately realized that the young villagers were hesitating in releasing their attacks, which resulted in a more shallow damaged log. Because of their hesitation, the four villagers are not able to show their true power and are simply grazing the surface instead of aiming for the vital points. The bandit leader then starts to tease and mock Fiona and the others, commenting on how they only amounted to so little despite having talents. When it comes to brute strength, the bandits claim that they are far more superior. Woody thought of an idea and handed a wooden sword to the bandit leader. Woody tells the bandit leader that he too should give it a try. Now receiving weapons, the bandits were beyond surprised. Nadia asks Woody if he was serious with his decision, to which Woody responds that he is. Woody mentions that what he handed over are just wooden swords, which pose no danger. What Woody wanted to see is the true strength of those who had survived the harsh environment of the desert. With the log in front of them, the bandit leader gave a signal which the others understood and attacked at the same time. With their synchronous attacks, the bandits were able to split the log into two. The young underling cheered, praising their boss for landing the final blow. Nadia then asked the underling if he plans on joining the action. The bandit leader interrupted them and told Nadia that the underling has his own role to play, to which the underling nervously responded that he is a lookout searching for prey. Picking up the broken log, Nadia praises the bandits for being able to hit Maruda's weak spot. Nadia also gave credit to the young villagers, as they made the log easy to crack after beating it multiple times. The young villagers were disappointed in themselves for not being able to locate the log's weak point. Others also realize that they would have to train much harder. Shekri praises the bandits and admits that he for one is a complete novice when it comes to actual combat. After seeing the bandits portray their combat skills, Shekri now understood how the bandits were able to survive in such a harsh desert. The bandit leader claimed that it was all because of his strength. However, Shekri corrects him and points out that it was because of their teamwork. The bandit became confused and asked Shekri about teamwork. Shekri explained what teamwork is, which the bandits performed perfectly. Shekri also shared his opinion towards the young villagers, pointing out that they still lack coordination. The young villagers, though disappointed, still accepted the reality. Seeing the young villagers bicker at each other and leave, the bandit leader asks when they would send the talented villagers out to hunt. Nadia responds that they would only let the young villagers out for a hunt when a smaller prey would appear, giving them some real combat experience. The bandit leader couldn't believe what he just heard. With the village heavily reliant on fruits, as it is also their main source of food, Woody voiced out how they too would love to get some monster meat for nutritional balance. Surprised, the bandit leader angrily told Woody that they can get the meat themselves. Woody shares with the bandit leader that both Nadia and Simurgh are the only ones doing the bare minimum of hunting for the village, which leads Woody to question himself if relying on them forever would be okay. Setting where they can protect themselves and take action on their initiative to obtain what was needed, Woody thought that they could fulfill those needs and would also give them confidence. Woody also hoped that the confidence they gain would lead to a richer, fuller heart. The bandits were left speechless after listening to Woody. Staring at the vast land of trees, Woody thought that compared to his past self, who received so many things from his father, he prefers who he is now, walking a path that he cultivated himself. Woody thought of wanting to tell his father that he has always been happy. The bandit leader approached Shekri and realized that what he had said was already being worked on by the villagers. With the fruits getting sweeter because there was nothing else to eat aside from them, the bandit leader changed his mind, as his cravings for meat made him want to hunt. Both Nadia and Ira whispered to each other, asking if they were imagining things. Overhearing them, the bandit leader got pissed and tried to explain himself. However, before the bandit leader could explain himself, the other bandits then voiced out their support, since they too wanted to eat meat. They then pointed out that hunting suited them better than harvesting. With their stomachs full after eating so much food, the bandits were now at full energy and were very eager to hunt. However, the underling wasn't that excited as he tried to explain that finding the right kind of beast was the hardest part in hunting. Nadia then tells the bandits that they should first consider their current position, but when Woody mentioned that it was fine, this surprised Nadia. Concerned, Nadia points out that if they give the bandits too much freedom, then they would just run off. However, both Shekri and Woody voiced out their thoughts and told Nadia that they are fine with it. Shekri had no plans in locking the bandits up forever. As long as the bandits would not cause trouble for the village, then they would not stop them. However, Shekri still would feel a little disappointed if the bandits would decide to run away. Shekri once again reminded the bandits that all he wanted was to share the harvest with everyone, to which Woody also voiced his support. Woody then told the bandits that he was currently holding onto their weapons and would just return them when it was time to hunt. The bandits immediately showed a glowing smile, realizing that their beloved weapons were not destroyed. Knowing how precious the weapons are to the bandits, Woody couldn't bring himself to destroy them. The bandit leader had enough of just listening and told Woody and the others that they are all complete idiots, after letting them eat and giving them beds, and now given the freedom to hunt and having their weapons returned. The bandit leader could only think how ridiculous those decisions were. Wanting to know the real reason behind those decisions, the bandit leader pointed out that not one person in the village even knew their names. The bandit leader then told everyone to listen, as he did not plan to repeat himself. The bandit leader first introduced himself as Caden, next was Baya and Zaya, lastly was the underling Gona. Caden tells Woody that they too have proper names and admits that they can't stay as bandits forever, as he could not see the benefit of living such a life. Shekri called everyone in the church and shared that he would soon begin cultivating using his tree planting skill. Gratefully partaking in the event of eating meat, Shekri, along with everyone, thanked their lords for the abundance that they received. After thanking the wooden statues of both Woody and Simurgh, everyone in the village started eating. Outside the church, Woody felt uncomfortable and asked Nadia if it was fine leaving the wind tree religion as is. Nadia laughs and just tells Woody that the religion itself was very unique and interesting. Ira voiced out his thoughts and believes that the gratitude towards Woody and Simurgh was wonderfully conveyed. Simurgh also believes the same thing, pointing out how the sanctuary is overflowing with strong faith. Simurgh believes that the increase in the tree village's residents is also one of the reasons. Simurgh was not certain if he had truly become a resident of the village in the real sense of the word. However, he could tell the great progress being made with Shekri as the center of it. Now knowing the names of each of the bandits, Woody thought that everyone could now eat, laugh, drink, and sleep peacefully in the tree village. Looking at his hand, Woody thought that he had to work harder to do what he could. Opening his status bar, Woody thought with the number of smile points he has accumulated, he now has enough to plant a maximum of 25 trees. Woody also noticed how there are times the smiles in the village are decreasing because of Caden and the other bandits. However, now it has changed, as everyone is now enjoying the fruits of their own labor. Woody has set a new goal and plans to make an orchard. Woody was busy structuring the locations for the training grounds, along with his plans of creating an orchard. Era notices how Woody is so focused, which she then voiced out of helping him. Woody smiles and thanks Era, telling her that with her by his side was enough to make him happy. Hearing this, Era's heart beat faster and wondered if it was Woody's sudden proposal to her. Era starts imagining Woody by her side, wanting to stay with her forever. Woody then starts sharing his plans with Era, as he thought of expanding the sanctuary and the area outside. As Woody shows his sketch of how the wall would be, he then starts explaining his plans and putting the locations for his orchard and the training grounds. Era then understands why Woody wanted to expand the sanctuary, since the whole village would get cramped if they were to add the orchard and training grounds inside the village. Woody also pointed out that if they continue to increase the trees inside the village, it would cause inconvenience for daily life. Setting a proper location for the training ground would also help, as Woody was certain that Caden and the others would probably join in at a later time. Although it was ideal to move the orchard outside of the village, what worries Woody is that the orchard may get targeted by other sand pirates. Thinking of possible solutions for his sand pirate problem, Woody then remembered the fire tree he created to lock Caden and the others before, and even thought how beautiful it would be. Era was starting to get worried as he couldn't recognize the usual Woody. Woody shares that the orchard would have various types of element muscats, which Era was shocked by, as she never had expected that trees would also be elemented. Woody explained that the element muscats were one of the problems. Since he couldn't permanently install the tree in the village, the tree just remained in his storage bag. Era reminded Woody of the risks of eating the element-type fruits, as some could burn a person when they try eating the fruit. Woody believes that the benefits that they would get from the element-type trees outweigh their concerns. Since regular trees look delicious, Woody wonders if the element-type tree would be the same. Era then realized what Woody was aiming for, putting the element-type trees outside to ward off other sand pirates while also making them cautious. Woody liked Era's idea of using the element-type trees as an enclosure, and planting the regular trees inside. As Woody decides to go with the plan he and Era came up with, he starts crossbreeding the new type element trees for the enclosure. However, Woody was surprised when he learned that the number of planted trees was not counted with breeding. Breeding is a skill that performs crossbreeding of already created trees. Unlike normal tree planting, it was not counted towards the number of planted trees. Listening to the system, Woody realized that he was so engrossed in breeding that he didn't even notice a condition in crossbreeding. Since crossbreeding also consumes smile points, Woody thought of putting off the breeding and tree planting until later. To Woody's surprise, the system recommended him to raise his level more. After choosing the trees he wanted to plant, Woody then summoned them. After creating 15 trees at the same time, Woody leveled up and was able to reach the fixed amount of tree planting. Woody becomes excited. Although Woody gave up on a new breeding, he was able to create a new orchard outside the village. Gaining levels while creating his orchard proved to Woody that his plan is working. As Era congratulated Woody, Nadia, on the other hand, was more surprised that Woody was able to create something new again. Laughing, Woody tells Nadia to watch as he shows his new skill. Hearing a rumbling sound behind, Nadia was shocked when mountains of fruits came rushing towards them. It was Woody's new skill called Automatic Harvest, allowing Woody to automatically harvest the fruits. In addition to his automatic harvest, Woody also showed another skill called Harvest Bag. A bag suddenly appeared, swallowing all of the harvested fruits. Seeing the bag, both Nadia and Era were in total disbelief and even thought if what they were seeing was real. After deactivating his harvest bag, Nadia approaches Woody, asking him how his skills were at a natural talent level. Era had the same thoughts as Nadia, pointing out how Woody's harvest bag is in the same realm as spatial mages or item bag users. Confused, Woody asks Era if his harvest bag works like his storage pouch. Sighing, Era explains that the pouch was crafted using ancient techniques that are now long lost, and is now considered a magical artifact. Era reminds Woody that his pouch is a long lost magic tool. Nadia tries to make sense of things, explaining how they didn't realize how incredible it is since they already have it. As Woody realized that the situation had become bad, both Harvest Bag and the storage pouch contain an alternate dimension. However, having a subspace skill from a plant skill is considered insane. Woody heard that skilled spatial mages and item bags are so powerful that they are summoned to serve the royal family. Nadja shares his concern for Woody's safety, as Nadja wonders what Woody would become if he keeps on growing. Remembering his father's face the moment he was abandoned, Woody asks Nadja if they want him to leave if his tree skill becomes more dangerous. Patting Woody's head, Nadja clarifies that she does not see Woody's talent as useless, just like how Woody does not see Nadja for her talent alone. As Nadja mentions how Woody saw the real her, Nadja becomes embarrassed and starts turning red. Nadja reassures Woody that she would stay by his side regardless if his skill evolves and transforms Woody into a demon who plants trees to conquer the world. Hearing Nadja, Ira pointed out that if that scenario were to come true, then they would become the bad guys. Knowing that he has the support of his most trusted friends, Woody thanks both Nadja and Ira. Alone and washing his feet, Woody realized that his bad habits showed again, the trauma he received after his father abandoned him. Woody tells himself to forget the unnecessary stuff and that he should just focus on his skills right now. Woody's auto-harvest uses 10 points to activate, but it makes harvesting much easier. For his other skill, Harvest Bag, it holds more storage than his storage pouch and costs 0 points, which Woody finds very convenient. Woody wonders what kind of skill or tree he would be able to plant next. Thinking of a tree that could end the world, Woody laughingly asks himself if such a tree even existed. However, the whimsical seedling did not respond to Woody. Ira was approached by Fiona, telling her that it was now time. Ira reminded Fiona that failure was not an option for their plan. The clock turned back to the day before, where the village found a problem. After seeing Woody's auto-harvest, Ira realized that they just had too many fruits. Ira wonders when they will be able to eat all of those fruits. Ira was just completely stunned after watching Woody's skill, thinking about when they would be able to eat all of the accumulated fruits. An idea comes to Ira, and with Fiona's amazing talent, she asks Fiona if she wants to use her power for the good of the village. With Fiona responding quite uncertainly, Ira then asks for Fiona's help in saving the fruits. Meg and Dan, along with the other talented young villagers, were doing their best to subdue the boar they were hunting. Trying to cast the final blow, the young villager uses his magic but unfortunately fails as his attack only made the boar angrier. Both Meg and Dan tried to follow up on the attack, but their kick and sword didn't do any serious harm, which also led the boar to run away. Meg tries to catch up to the boar, but Caden decides to join in the hunt and takes care of the boar. With the boar finally dead, Caden asks the three if they are fine. Dan responded but felt hesitant in talking to Caden. Dan had to look at the others to confirm if he had to respond. When Caden received thanks, he then received praise from the other sand bandits and also from Nadja. Nadja informs Meg and Dan that sand boars have rock-hard heads and that they just need a bit more push. Nadja also praised Caden for his solid support. For their first real battle as a group, Nadja overall praised the talented villagers for a job well done. After taking the boar down, Meg and the others suggested that they go back to the village while there's still daylight. The sand bandits were also excited to have a meat festival. Both Meg and Dan were totally exhausted and were glad that they could finally go home. Dan thought that Fiona lucked out for not coming to the hunt. The young villagers learned that Fiona is doing something with Ira, which made them believe that they are preparing for the meat festival. Nadja notices Meg staring into the distance. When Nadja approached Meg and asked her if something was wrong, Nadja also reminded Meg to not let her guard down outside of the village. Nadja apologizes for spacing out and explains that whenever she goes outside, she instinctively starts looking for the horizon, wanting to see Ron and the others, wondering if they would ever see the others again. Meanwhile, Woody was looking at the vast desert, wondering if the others managed to hunt the monsters safely. Although Nadja is with them, Woody still couldn't help but worry since they don't know what kind of monsters they would run into outside the sanctuary. Ira appears after finding Woody. Excited to see Ira, Woody tells her that Nadja and the others were about to return from a hunt. However, Woody senses something wrong with Ira after feeling an aura. Woody asks Ira if something was wrong. Ira then asked for Woody to follow her and be seated over at the table. Seeing how Fiona is also a part of something, Woody asks what was happening. With all the seats being filled, Ira then starts with their event. After Fiona gave the signal, the young ladies then began their product evaluation ceremony. That is the end of the recap at chapter 17.1. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.